Oh my God, these lights are so terrible. The way I see it, we've got two options. We can either accept it or we can completely change the lighting setup on this car. The problem is, I don't want spotlights hanging off the front. I don't want a light bar up on the roof. We're gonna hide 36,000 lumens of daylight inside this 100 Series Land Cruiser, and if it works, no one will even know they're there.
Tried to start it for us, which it did start, and then it stopped.
After a whole lot of research, we landed on Auxbeam lights. They seem to have the versatility we're looking for at a price that we were really happy with. But making them invisible, that seems to be a whole lot harder than we expected. Our goal is to fit our lights behind the grille. If we were fitting a light bar to the front of this, you'd use the bar and you'd just place it in there. We're not doing that. We're fitting 6 individual spots. And as you can see, they have nothing to sit on. So we had to use some rectangle aluminium tubing, this stuff here, to create a bridge from the center point here, which is a rigid structure of the car, out to here. And we've got 3 individual lights either side sitting on this bridge.
That's so fancy.
It's going to make it super easy to maneuver these wherever we want them to be.
Yeah, wow. And look how cool. They're really, really light. So cool.
Yeah, I like them much better without this. They
look cool. While Adam's busy over there mounting the braces for our lights, I'm in charge of cutting these 30mm spacers. So I've just got some aluminium tubing and my trusty little pipe cutter. Now, it should break apart like that. Pretty cool, hey?
After cutting the aluminium tubing to the right length and drilling the holes, we mounted the braces ready to install the lights. Everything was traveling along so smoothly, or so we thought.
Look at that.
When you open this box, they know you're gonna struggle. It's kind of like you got this. Their little inspiration before you absolutely want to tear your hair out because mounting them isn't as easy as you thought it was going to be.
Is it just a little screw underneath or a bolt?
It's a self-capturing nut, so the top doesn't spin. You've got a washer, then you've got a spring washer, and then you've got the nut, and we'll do that up nice and tight. The beautiful part about having these individual lights is we're going to be able to position them wherever we want. With a light bar, it was giving us one solid direction. A little bit more versatility with these guys.
Yeah.
Looking absolutely incredible. Lisa made us these 30mm spacers in here. We've got a 75mm stainless bolt that goes through. And the part that I'm most looking forward to is taking these off. Yeah, boy. That looks sick. Auxbeam allows you to do away with all of this by getting their switch panel. Instead of having all that spaghetti, it all gets connected to this. This connects directly to the loom, and we're on fire. Behind each of the lights, we've got their power source. We need to plug each of those power sources into this wiring loom. I'm gonna get it all cable tied up underneath here so it's nice and neat. Next time you see it, how good does that look? It looks so neat. I'm stoked. This is one of the brackets that comes with the Auxbeam lights, and I've made an attachment just here that we can sit our circuit breaker on. This is what's gonna house our main switch panel. It's gonna sit nice and neatly in here. I'm gonna go ahead and mount this up, sit everything in place, show you what it looks like. Brackets in, it's nice and solid. I did use the battery box as one of the mounting points. I've got a little rubber washer in between the bolt and the battery box, and then on this side as well, just so we don't get any electrolysis, so we're not gonna cause any rust. We've got these same little rubber washers here, so everything's nice and secure. We've got the switch panel mounted up, which is the KS80 switch panel. It's mounted up onto the bracket that they supplied. We've got the circuit breaker just here, sitting back, looking at the engine bay. That is so clean. Given we've still got wires to plug in, I'm stoked with the way that this looks so far. Air cleaner is still accessible. We can still get to the reservoir bottle. It's still got a gap. There's still a gap between the battery box. This here just opens straight up, so there's no fiddling around, and it's all mounted nice and securely. We've got to connect this guy to here. Hide that down. So if we look at the anatomy of this now, we've got 8 different bays that we can connect lights to. We have also got the auto on, so if you want to run your driving lights all the time, as soon as you turn the ignition on, you can plug into here. What we've got is our 6 lights plugged into one bank. So you've got your positive, negative, and then this is the driving lights, so we can switch those on and off individually. This is a fusible link, so it runs power straight to the fuse box. We didn't realize it at the time, but this was a pivotal moment in the build. One tiny mistake with this red wire would leave leave us stranded deep into the tropical rainforest. One tiny mistake would leave us wondering whether we were actually even going to make it home. Positive power cable and a negative. The positive is running down to our ignition protector, and then it's running through back to our positive power source on the battery. Negative, this one just here, is just running straight to our negative source on our battery. Everything looks super clean. This just clips nice and easily back into place. Being able to control the lights from inside the cab is a big deal for us. The Auxbeam KS80 comes with a control panel and a couple of different mounting options. But if you've watched this series for any length of time, you'll know that we're always trying to improve things. We wanted the setup to look as factory as possible. No extra holes, no screws through the dashboard, no random switches stuck everywhere. True to form, we went looking for a better spot. We practice fitted the control panel here. We fitted it down here. And we also looked at over here. None of them really suited. We certainly didn't want to mount it up on the dashboard. The location that we found is right here. We can control everything from here. We can control all of the features of the lights. We can add extra lights in if we want to. As you guys know, the 100 series LandCruiser has more than enough sunglass holders. And thank you to one of our viewers for pointing out that this is a CD holder, so we will be putting Jessica Simpson up there. How good does that look? It's incredible, right? This is illuminated because the lights are on right now. If we close it up, there is no visibility of lights, so it's not obstructing your view at all, and it just pops down nice and simply. What an elegant solution to something that was going to stick out like a sore thumb. Let us know in the comments below what you think of the placement. Everything else still works. You still turn the lights on and all that sort of stuff. We have improved the lights on the 414. For the first time, go for it. Holy smokes. That is so much better. Look at the difference. It is like daylight out here. We have got lights behind the grille. That is so much better. Look at how much you can see now. We can see off to the sides, it's all illuminated. We can see right out in front. We are lighting up all the trees. What a huge improvement, huh?
Oh my God, honestly, being able to see is like the dream.
You guys probably aren't gonna believe this, but we purposefully didn't turn them on until just then.
Yeah.
That's the first time we've switched them on outside the garage.
Yeah, we just switched them on to make sure that they worked, obviously. But yeah, like I was a bit, not skeptical, but I just wasn't sure, like, by hiding it behind the grille, if it was going to be as, or, you know, still bright, but it's definitely proven itself, hey. It's incredible.
I'm blown away by just how well it's lighting everything up.
And given, like, how small they are, it's pretty cool, hey?
This was the precise moment that we realized something was wrong. At first we thought we were imagining it, but the voltage gauge has always sat at 13 volts since the day we bought the LandCruiser. But now it was dropping 13, 12, 11, and it wasn't stopping, and it was losing voltage quickly. We realized we weren't charging the batteries anymore. The alternator had stopped putting charge back into the system, and everything in the car was now running on whatever charge we had left. The problem was, we're a long way from the main road. I mean a really long way from the main road. Fortunately, from here, it's mostly downhill, which meant even if the worst happens, we could at least roll our way out. But the voltage kept dropping. We started losing confidence it would actually even make it. The lights were getting dimmer, the dash is getting darker, and we still had a very long way to go. Getting out and walking really isn't an option either. There are so many dingoes out here, and there's no way we're putting Harley on a lead and heading off into the dark. So we made the decision, no matter what happened, we're going to keep on moving. And if that meant rolling the rest of the way out with no power steering, then that's what we're going to do. It meant Lisa might have to hang out the window with her phone light on, because stopping here just wasn't an option.
So I'm just turning the radio off every time it starts up, just to try and save power.
It's drawn so much voltage that even when I put my foot on the brake, the brake lights are turning the lights off.
So we've just lost lights completely. Holy shit.
Come back on lights, come back on, that's it.
I've got heaps of battery on my phone, so I can use my light if we need to.
Okay, don't turn it on in here because I can't see.
Yeah, I'm going to put the window down. Is that okay? Not yet? Or we're okay for now?
I'm just using the handbrake to stop us, so we're not turning the brake lights on. Because whenever we use the brakes, that's when we're losing lights.
Yeah. I've got service again, so.
Okay.
understand that.
Can you please turn the light off?
Yeah.
I can't see when it's on.
Yeah, okay.
We're just going to get out to the road so we can keep the revs up.
Yeah.
And we're not in this horrible dark place.
Yeah. So what's the voltage doing at the moment? Can you see?
Yeah, it's right down at 9 volts.
Okay. So when I took it for a drive yesterday.
Come on, lights, come back on, come back on, come back on, come back on. That's it, that's it. Pick up lights. Come on. Come on, you can do it. Come on.
Come on. There's a cigarette thingy draw power.
Yeah.
Come on, lights. Come on.
What you doing there?
I'm phoning, I'm waiting, I'm on hold with RECQ.
Wow.
It's come to this.
That escalated quickly.
It really did.
Full disclosure, it was me that messed it up. I got it drastically wrong. So let me walk you through what it is that I did. Inside the engine bay, oh, by the way, this is our new battery that we got from RACQ to get us home. So thanks to those guys for being there. Okay, so inside the fuse box here. So this is known as a fusible link. And when we look at the fuse box lid itself, we've got a fuse here. It might be a little bit hard to read, so I'll just read it out. So we've got a fuse here, which is for the tail light. Then we've got another fuse here, which is for the panel, so the instrument panel inside. And then we've got this one here, which is FRIG, which actually talks to the alternator down in there, which the alternator, when the car is running, it's charging the battery system. So I chose FRIG fuse. I unplugged that fuse, plugged it into this fusible link, and then of course it's all running. However, because I wasn't paying too much attention when I was doing it, I accidentally plugged it into this port here. And as you can see, there's no fuse in there. When we look back on the panel, it's just a blank panel. So what I had done is I had effectively unplugged the alternator, meaning that there was no charge running back to the system at all. Please let us know in the comments below if you've made a mistake like this before. It's important to know it wasn't fault of the light. It was just the fact that I put the fuse back in the wrong spot. You live and you learn. Thanks again for watching, guys. Appreciate you.